I want to grow my business bigger. Well, that means the people that are helping me do that have to have experience in a bigger space, right? So I can't hire a hitting instructor for baseball that hasn't played at least a high level as I did. You know what I mean? I can't have outplayed that person. So you guys have already worked with companies that are as big as I want mine to be, right? So talk to me. Can you say or even describe any of the brands that you guys have worked with that maybe there's some household names in there? I'm fortunate enough to know them.
Well, we do have NDAs with most of them because we go neck deep into their business. But to give an example, the one we were talking about just a moment ago, they're number 2 in their space in the United States. Period.
Wow. So can you just mention, let's say revenue. People would associate size of a business to revenue, right? So are we talking billions?
Yes.
Well,
there you go.
Well, the company is billions. That particular company is the smallest, and it was about 20 million
right.
a year.
Got it. But you guys have worked with some major brands that are doing billions of dollars worth of revenue.
I mean, I've sold leads to Microsoft, to Avaya.
There you go.
Came up with lead nurturing strategies for all of them, train their salespeople. We've done all those things in our career.
Told you.
I mean, what Jim did for, the company he ran for 12 years.
4,321 days.
Man, I mean, he nailed it. He nailed it. So all of this comes down to something my dad told me one time. And he said, Clayton, and he didn't come up with this, I'm sure. He said, no one ever went out for a stroll and ended up on the top of Mount Everest.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You got to keep working, and you got to carry that over into all of your engagements with your clients, and they'll follow that pace. They're like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, they're like dogs. They want to be part of the pack, and you got to set that example. We got to lead by example.
That's right.
Well, I'll give you an example that this happened yesterday. So yesterday, Castle's a big basketball player.
Yeah,
he just started with a new team, an AAU team, and it was an hour from our house. So I'm there, and I'm walking up down the hallways, beautiful new school, just getting in some steps while they're doing their thing in practice. And this young man that I worked with in 2010 noticed me from across the gym. And came up, and of course we're talking, and he's talking about how he remembers working with me, and how that kind of put him on his path to where he's headed and that kind of thing, and that really is at my core, and really ours collectively, is we want to have relationships with people that want to know us 20 years from now.
Right.
And to be able to say that we became better because we knew each other, because we worked together at that time. And so back then, that was with, an individual he was probably 17 or 18 at the time. And now he's got a 16-year-old. And now these days we've grown to a certain point where it's with companies. I want that executive team and everybody that we interact with to be so excited about what we're helping them do. That 20 years from now, they're still telling the same story. And if I run into them, at the old folks' home, they're like, oh, I remember when we started working together.
That's right.
That's the kind of relationships.
That's right.
And to build a business, you don't have to take every deal. Okay.
Right.
So what I learned way too late in my career was there's a difference between hungry and thirsty. And Jim and I are hungry, but we're not thirsty. We want to do the right thing. We want to be with the right groups, and we want to be able to walk to schools, whatever, and run into people and be cool with it.
So would you say, is there, because we've been talking a lot about the power of data-driven marketing, okay? So first of all, let's define that. What is data-driven marketing to you guys? Go ahead, Clayton.
Well, it's making decisions based on information.
Okay.
Like who you target, why you're targeting them, those kind of, you don't call a lead because someone gave it to you instead of call it. Why are you calling this one?
Okay.
Because they are this.
You give it a purpose.
And I can help them. And this is what I'm going to have a conversation with them about. And this is how I'm going to help them. And if I can't help them, I'm going to step aside.
Yeah.
And so when we talk to our clients, we say, you need a data-driven strategy. Here are the variables that are going to be important to you. Okay. And that all goes back to where it started. who is it? It's dog owners that live on the left side of the road and listen to Pavarotti. It's not people that are 40 to 75 years old or whatever you thought back in 1989 what it was, because that's the last words of a business.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. What about you, Jim?
It's the truth. You know, it's the truth or the foundation that you are building on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go back to, and I think we've talked about this, Jack Daly says that the average Little League team is run better than the average business. And it's because every player on that team knows what their job is.
Oh, wow.
And all too often you have businesses that get to a certain point and they kind of plateau because there's not somebody consciously and on purpose making decisions based in data. It's all just on feel.
Yeah.
And so as we have volumes of data that can be used to help them grow their business, they really do have to drill down and be more intentional about it, because that's what's going to make the data work. Because if you're not clear on who your customer is, well, then that's going to make the data muddy, because I don't really know how to drill down into it. And so we kind of force them to get real about who it is that they do business with and why, who they serve.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't take every client.
Man, so there isn't, and I think this is what most of those other vendors are doing, is they're selling a one size fits all digital marketing strategy, and that's just simply not the case. It's custom.
What does a shirt look like if it's one size fits all?
Not good on me.
Exactly.
I got it on right now.
So
It's James Brown. It's a family show.
Dude, I'm telling you, and I was actually loving that shirt, and I loved Clayton already. And then and I saw that, and I was like, me and that guy got this, man. We got this, baby. Understanding how to use the data. So, like, I've learned more from you guys, and just learning by you guys asking questions about my business, and then literally just the questions you asked me made me answer so many questions that I should have answered a long time ago. All right. So what am I talking about? Well, so I was kind of talking about this yesterday. I'm gonna tell you all a little secret. I don't, as I get older, I eat really clean. I'm very, very conscious about I want to feel good. I want to feel good. I want to feel good in my own clothes. Right. So, but one of my favorite things in the entire world, Pizza Hut makes a stuffed crust pizza.
They do.
All right. Now,
how do those geniuses get the cheese in the crust?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Now, I haven't had one in 2-3 years. Okay. But I see the commercials. And every time I see the commercials, I'm not buying one right now, but I will. Okay. Right. And guess what? I subscribe to their newsletters too, right? And I get the newsletter. I saw the commercial, and then I get on my computer next time, and boom, there it is. There's stuffed crust again. It's reminding me that when I'm ready to order that pizza, that I don't forget and go to the last pizza joint that I drove by, or the one that my son said he wanted to try, or whatever. No, guys. Dad only eats this once a decade. It's Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza. They didn't pay me for that. They can. But they didn't, right? So that's by you guys asking questions about what I was doing, what my data-driven marketing strategies were. I realized that like all the nicks out there that like I haven't chosen what I've eaten in 20 years. My wife does that, right? So when she says, "What do you want for dinner?" and I'm like, "Dude, like I don't even know where to start. Like what's around here?" Like that's a loaded question,
right?
By seeing the commercials, getting the emails, seeing the ad on Facebook, all because I'm talking about it right now. I'm sure when I open my phone, they'll be there, right? That it makes that decision easy when it comes time to make it. So as the consumer, that all those campaigns put together made my decision-making process easy when we have an overwhelming abundance of options, right? So talk to me a little bit about, excuse me, like, when it comes to social media, young people especially, they're like, "Hey, I don't want to bother anybody, so don't post so much." I'm like, "Well, they followed me, and I hope I'm all that they see."
Right. You want me to go grab a dictionary? I'll tell you what a community is.
That's right. That's right. Talk to me about like some campaign strategies for the data that they get. Like, so, Clayton, I'll start with you, and Jim, I'll hear from you as well. Like, so first of all, let's pick a vertical. Let's simulate. Let's just do a simulation here. All right. So what do y'all want to simulate today? Insurance, solar, what do we want to do? Well, like, I'm very passionate about the insurance space, and I can tell you, don't quote me on this number, but at least 85% of all health insurance policies that are bought, they were a lead. And an agent called them, and that's how it chose. That maybe 100,000 agents called them and before they found their one. Right. So let's just talk about insurance. And so let's talk about from start to finish, on average, on what you guys know best practices are. And Clayton, you crush it in this space. You are an expert on this. Talk to me about, like, so Nick comes to you. Let's say I'm going to buy, like, what's the minimum order to work with sense development?
Well, the minimum and the average are different, right?
Okay.
The minimum would probably be, well, in this day and age, 7,000.
Perfect. All right. So let's say I'm coming to you to buy 7,000 records or 7,000 leads, let's say.
Right. So first and foremost, since you're just a single person, you don't need those all at once. Okay. So we're going to have to figure out how to pace that out for you so that it matches with what you're doing. And then the second thing is that methodically contact, right? So you're going to call them. You're going to try to engage with them on social media. You're going to email, whatever's appropriate without being invasive, right?
Yep.
But everything's based on a series of touches, right?
Okay.
So what people need in order to buy is trust, timing, need, money, right? You know, you're talking about timing with the
trust, timing, need, and money.
That's it.
That's big, dude. And you've never said that to me before, and I'm glad you did.
Well, your whole entire marketing and sales strategy needs to be based on that, in my opinion. Okay, so when you're talking to us, the next time you invite us on the show in a few months or whenever,
we can book it before you leave, baby.
No, it doesn't have to be that. We're going to be able to tell you when you're going to buy that pizza. Okay, because you know the things that Jim and I are trying to do now could potentially be game changing like that. You know, so hopefully we can figure out when that intent is really there. Okay, when we know. But if we're getting back to trust, timing, need, and money, we've got to kind of figure out what's the combination. How do we unlock that so that we're, you know, number one, we have enough communication with them, so we're building trust, and we're doing it in the right way without, you know, being invasive, right?
Okay.
Then we're looking at the timing. Okay. So if you've got a no lead left behind approach, which is huge for us, no lead left behind, you know, when you talk to somebody or when you engage with them, they're active, latent, not interested, right? And there's a system for all of those, and they never go away. So you got your trust, you got your timing, need. We know they need it because they have to have it, right? And money. Okay. When's it going to be right? So if you keep those four things in mind, we can back through and we can come up with what the right strategy is. But it's not just the right strategy for in general when you're talking to health insurance people. We also have to bring Nick into it. And what do you do now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And what's successful and what isn't? And does that play well with your strategy? Because, you know, I said earlier, success leaves clues. So if you find someone successful, you do want to mimic what they're doing to a certain extent. Yeah. But you also need to make it your own.
Jim Warren Buffett said that the purpose of a business is to create a customer that brings in a new customer.
That's right. You got to have children.
And that's kind of like where I see you get this data, and it's like you want to make sure that that person is in a community that you are a part of, that you can communicate with them in a family environment, let's just say, right?
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I think gets lost on people is, especially you get successful and you kind of hit a plateau, you get comfortable, and you quit doing some of the things that your competitors are doing. It's almost like you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to be in front of them all the time. Or, you know, I know you know how this goes. Some people are like, well, you know, I'm not on that platform. You know, well, why are you not on that platform? Your competitors are. If you offer a great service, the people that offer a worse service are on those platforms and they are being loud. It is almost your responsibility to reach out to those people, to be there as an alternative to the ones that are not doing it ethically. You know, good has to stand up.
Absolutely.
And sometimes good plays it safe. And that's not a winning strategy. It's no different than in my 300 game. If I had not got up on that last ball and threw that ball to win, to shoot 300 versus playing it safe, You know, I want to have a good score.
You accidentally bowled 300.
Yeah, you don't accidentally hit perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and so I would tell people that offer great service, that take care of the people that they serve, is be more intentional about your contact. Don't be the best kept secret. Like, don't do that.
That's right.
Get out there and serve more people.
Well, and you do that by being professionally persistent.
Yeah,
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And consistent, because consistency builds trust, right?
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's the number one thing on the list. Trust, timing, need, money, right?